Thank you for the invitation to share information about the Agri-Business Talent Council and Going Pro Talent Fund. I'm Karrie Brown. I've been privileged to be in the role of Agri-Business Talent Council lead, which is convened by West Michigan Works. We serve in a 7-county region in the West Michigan area, and the Agribusiness Talent Council includes farming and food production, employers, food processing, and food supply chain. In addition to economic development, K through 12, and higher education representatives, really working together, sitting down to collaboratively discuss the workforce needs for this industry, recognizing that food production is a huge piece of Michigan's economic wheelhouse, and wanting to make sure that the workforce for this critical industry stays strong, that we have the training needed to meet the skills now and long term. And so I'm really excited to be able to bring information on the Going Pro Talent Fund to you. Want to make sure to note that this information is tentative. The next application for Going Pro Talent Fund opens early October, but we don't have the final details from the state yet. So stay tuned for that. But a lot of this is based on recent Going Pro Talent Fund application time frames, and it's very accurate, based on what has happened most recently, but those final details are yet to come from the state. So more details then on the Going Pro Talent Fund itself. It has existed in Michigan for nearly a decade. If you're familiar with the Skilled Trades Training Fund, perhaps, that was its original name. It has been called the Going Pro Talent Fund for a while now. It's a competitive reimbursement grant. So if you apply for this grant and you're awarded, you'll have to send your employees through their training or bring on your new hires before being reimbursed for that. But it's a really great way to invest in your workforce. Training your people, it keeps people involved in your company. People want to work somewhere where they see the organization is investing in them. So for this next fiscal year, $55 million has been allocated. The legislature and the governor have increased funding for Going Pro Talent Fund every year because they recognize the impact that it has on the Michigan economy. West Michigan Works has been very intentional about building relationship with the employers in our region, and we receive an outsized portion of the award each year just because we do have those established relationships. So just to give you a quick picture of what that looks like, West Michigan Works is in Region 4, that light purple region on the west side of the state. We cover about half of that. Muskegon, Ottawa, Allegan, Barry, Kent, Ionia, and Montcalm. And if you see that Region 4 received $13 million of awards for fiscal year 2022, those 7 counties that West Michigan Works covers received over 12 million of that. It's great for our region to have that kind of support, but very little of that went to agribusiness employers. So as I mentioned, we're very intentional about working to reach out to our industries. Each of these 5 industries that you see on here has a talent council related to it. The Agribusiness Talent Council has been working since 2019 to raise awareness for this industry to be applying for Going Pro Talent Fund. And out of that $12 million plus that came into the West Michigan region for 2022, less than 3% of that went to agribusiness. It's a challenge. There's a barrier of lack of knowledge, and so I'm here today sharing just to help change that, not only for the West Michigan area, but for the state, as a whole, for there to be greater awareness of this fund. As I mentioned, this industry is critical. What grows across the state, a lot of it gets processed in West Michigan. And so we need to make sure that we're investing, in the entire industry, and want to make sure that we get the word out. So, a little bit more on what that looks like. Eligible training itself, getting you to understand where you might be able to tap into this for your own operation. If you are looking to do an expansion in the next year and you're going to be adding a position or 2 or 10 or more, or do you have an employee that's nearing retirement, and they're a key key player in your company and you want to have time to hire and train their replacement, that new employee fund, it's up to $2,000. You bring them on, they stay with you, they have to meet a retention period, and then you request your reimbursement. Classroom training, if you know that there's a critical skill gap and that you've identified somebody that's going to be the point person to go and learn that skill and navigate those waters for your operation. Classroom training up to $2,000. Apprenticeships are less common in ag, but they do exist. They're changed for this last year for the USDOL registered apprenticeships. It had been that you could apply for that just in the first year of somebody's apprenticeship. Now it's year after year. So some apprenticeships like machine maintenance, they might take 4 years to complete. Your company could apply for that each of those 4 years. And if you're awarded, as I said, it's a competitive grant, but if you're awarded, you would have that $3,500 each year to support their classroom training and their on-the-job training. It has to be for an industry recognized credential. It's got to be short term. Can't go more than 6 months. And really there's bonus points. If you're identifying community college courses or just being an agribusiness related organization, the scoring of the application, those things receive a little bit of extra support because the state recognizes the importance of that. So again, I mentioned the state hasn't released the final details yet for this upcoming application round, but I wanted to give you an example of things that people have requested that have been awarded in the past. These are all categories that may be eligible. So leadership training, project management, risk management. English is a second language. There's a large Spanish speaking population that is working in our state in this industry. All of these things are trainings that people have requested classroom training for in the past and have been awarded. One thing that I do want to mention for Going Pro Talent Fund, for the employee to be eligible, they have to be a full-time permanent employee. And the state of Michigan defines full-time as 32 hours a week or more, and it defines permanent as 27 weeks out of the year or more. So there are barriers that the industry faces. If you're a dairy operation or a pork operation, obviously you're 365 days a year. If you're an ag retailer, you are as well. If you're a specialty crop grower, there's a greater chance that you're going to have more seasonality to your workforce. So one thing to keep in mind in this is as you are thinking about what you might request, it does have to be for full-time permanent employees. So along with what has been eligible in the past, we know things that have also been listed as ineligible in the past. Soft skills training. The state has a great resource. I've got the website right there, something that you can look at, and there's no cost to utilizing that resource. Consulting to do continuous improvement with your company. Really anything that's listed as an introductory or an overview, things like Microsoft Office, or basic safety overviews that are considered normal cost of doing business, right? Everybody has to be trained on X as they onboard with you. That's not going to be eligible for a classroom training, and neither is ServSafe. Seminars, conferences, workshops, they might be eligible depending on what they are. They're reviewed on a case-by-case basis. So you'll be asked to share a syllabus, materials, outcomes that would be associated with that, and that will be reviewed by the specific agency that's working with you on your application. So I mentioned the application window is going to open up pretty soon here, October 9th. The QR code that you see on your screen, scan that and it'll take you to Michigan's Labor and Economic Opportunity website that has links for all of the Going Pro Talent Fund information that you could ever want to know. It also includes links through to the Michigan Works agencies. So you have to apply for this through your Michigan Works agency. And if you've never worked with your Michigan Works agency before, I strongly recommend reaching out to them. Whether you think Going Pro Talent Fund is right for you or not, there are other resources that they can make available to you. And it's just great to have that connection when you are going to be looking for things, ways to support your workforce. It's competitive scoring. I mentioned training proposals are required. The anticipated award announcement for this round is going to be December. And then the training period, what you're going to be looking to identify is January 1, 2024 to December 31st, 2024. So if you're going to start looking for trainings, look for ones that are going to be starting January or later if you're going to apply and want to use Going Pro funds to pay for that. I've covered a lot of information in a pretty short amount of time. It's a lot to digest and absorb. I do want to say that the Agribusiness Talent Council has both a LinkedIn page and a monthly newsletter. The QR codes are there on the screen as well. Subscribe to those and you'll be notified each time the Going Pro window opens up. You'll also be notified of other, other beneficial resources that we identify for the growers and the industry in our area. It's beneficial statewide. There's some things that are regional specific, but really we are looking to share best practices with the broader industry. So of course, if you have any questions, feel free to reach out to me directly. Chuck and Kara have my information to be able to share with you. And if you're not in the West Michigan region, you can still reach out to me, and I'm happy to try and find the person in your region to connect you with to make sure that Going Pro Talent Fund and other resources benefit you and that you've got that connection to have that support. I really appreciate getting the opportunity to share with you today and look forward to helping support this industry to remain strong for years to come.